Have you ever noticed that the harder you try to control life, the more it slips away from you? It's almost like holding sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it falls through your fingers. Society tells us that success means being in control of our careers, our relationships, our future. But here's the paradox. Buddhist wisdom says the exact opposite. The real strength doesn't come from control, but from letting go. Sounds strange, right? Because we've been conditioned to believe that if we don't control, everything will fall apart. Yet, the more we chase after certainty, the more restless and anxious we become. Think about it. How many nights have you laid awake, running endless what-ifs in your head, only to wake up exhausted and no closer to peace? Buddhism offers a radically different approach. It says life isn't about wrestling with every outcome, but about surrendering, trusting that the universe has its own rhythm, and that by releasing our grip, we actually discover a deeper freedom. When you stop fighting the waves, you finally learn how to float. I've experienced this myself. There was a period in my life when I planned every single detail, career milestones, financial targets, even how people should behave toward me. And guess what? The more I tried to control, the more frustrated I became, because life never followed my script. It wasn't until I loosened my grip, until I allowed things to unfold naturally, that I began to notice a sense of calm I had never felt before. It wasn't weakness, it was liberation. Here's the thing. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It means shifting from fear-driven control to trust-driven awareness. It's the difference between clenching your fists in resistance and opening your palms to receive. When you let go, you create space for new opportunities, for healing, for unexpected blessings to flow in. And I know what you might be thinking. But if I don't control things, won't everything collapse? That's exactly what I used to believe. But what if the opposite is true? What if your constant need for control is the very thing standing in the way of your happiness? What if peace begins the moment you stop forcing and start trusting? Imagine carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go, filled with worries, expectations, and the need to have all the answers. Now imagine setting it down, just for a moment. The lightness you feel, that's the essence of letting go. That's the freedom Buddhist wisdom points us toward. And here's the most beautiful part. When you learn to release control, life often turns out better than you could have planned. Opportunities appear, relationships flow more naturally, and your heart feels lighter. It's almost as if the universe was just waiting for you to stop resisting, so it could finally support you. So, the real question is this: are you willing to loosen your grip and trust the process of life? Because the path to peace isn't found in control, it's found in surrender. And stay with me until the end of this video, because I'll share with you a timeless Buddhist teaching, one that very few people know, about how to let go without fear. It's a lesson that could completely transform the way you see yourself and the way you walk through this unpredictable world. 1. You only block the flow when you try to control. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it feels when you try to control every little detail of your life? It's like standing in a river and trying to push the water back with your hands. No matter how strong you are, the current keeps moving, and the harder you resist, the more drained you become. That's exactly what happens in our minds. When we insist on controlling every outcome, how people should behave, how our plan should unfold, how the future must look, we end up fighting against the natural flow of life. And instead of bringing peace, control only creates tension, worry, and disappointment. The Buddha once taught, just as a mighty tree withstands the wind by being flexible, so does a wise person withstand life by letting go. This wisdom reminds us that trying to rigidly hold on doesn't make us stronger, it actually makes us break more easily. Flexibility, surrender, and trust. That's where true resilience lives. I've learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time I micromanaged everything: work deadlines, family decisions, even how conversations should go. But all it did was make me feel closed off and restless, always bracing for something to go wrong. It wasn't until I started practicing letting go that I discovered how much lighter life could feel. Letting go is not the same as giving up. It's not about being careless. It's about trusting that the universe has its own rhythm, one far wiser than our anxious minds. When you loosen your grip, you allow new opportunities, kindness, and even unexpected blessings to flow into your life. Think of it like holding a bird in your hand. If you squeeze too tightly, you'll harm it. If you leave your hand open, the bird may rest there peacefully, or it may fly away, but either way, there's freedom and no suffering. That's what trust feels like: open palms instead of clenched fists. And yes, I know the fear that comes with this. The inner voice that says, if I don't control things, everything will fall apart. But ask yourself honestly, has all your controlling really prevented difficulties? Or has it simply made you more anxious when things didn't go as planned? Most of us realize, sooner or later, that control is only an illusion. When you practice letting go, even just a little, something shifts inside. Your shoulders drop. Your breath slows down. Your heart feels lighter. It's as if you stop blocking the river and finally allow yourself to float. And here's the paradox. By releasing control, you don't lose life, you actually gain it. You begin to notice beauty in small moments. You respond with calm instead of panic. You become open to possibilities you couldn't see before. The flow of life carries you to places better than what you tried to force. So the question is, are you willing to stop resisting and trust the current? Because the moment you do, you'll discover a freedom that control could never give you. And in just a moment, I'll share a powerful Buddhist practice that can help you release that grip step by step. It's simple, but deeply transformative one that can bring peace to your everyday life if you're open to trying it. 2. Silence is louder than noise. We live in a world that never stops talking. Your phone buzzes with notifications. Traffic roars outside. News headlines compete for your attention. And even in quiet rooms, your mind is often louder than everything else. We've come to believe that noise equals progress. That if life isn't filled with constant activity, we're falling behind. But here's the paradox. True clarity doesn't come from adding more, it comes from silence. The Buddha once said, "Silence is an answer." And I think that's one of the most powerful truths we often overlook. Because when the world is shouting, silence becomes the only space where wisdom can whisper. I remember a time when I was constantly chasing noise meetings, calls, social media, endless conversations. I told myself I was staying connected, but in reality, I was running away from my own stillness. It wasn't until I began to practice silence, turning off my phone, sitting quietly, even just for 10 minutes, that I realized how much I had been missing. In that silence, answers surfaced that I couldn't find in all the chaos. Silence is not emptiness. It's presence. It's the moment when the dust settles, and suddenly, you can see clearly again. Think about it. When the lake is stirred up, the water becomes cloudy. But when it rests, the water turns clear, and the reflection of the sky appears. Our minds are exactly the same. And yet, silence can feel uncomfortable. We're so used to filling the gaps with music, with chatter, with distractions that stillness feels almost unnatural. But it's in that very stillness where we meet ourselves, where we hear the subtle guidance of life pointing us forward. The Buddha taught that wisdom arises when the mind is calm, like a lamp shining in a windless place. That image always stays with me, because when our minds are noisy, It's like a flame flickering wildly, you can't see anything clearly. But when the wind dies down, the flame burns steady, and light fills the space. This is why silence is not weakness. It's strength. It protects your peace. It gives you space to think before reacting, to understand before judging, to choose with clarity instead of panic. And here's what I discovered. Silence speaks louder than words. In silence, I learned to listen not just to myself, but to others. I realized that often, people don't need your quick advice or your instant reaction. They need your presence. They need the quiet strength of someone who listens fully. So what if silence is not the absence of something but the presence of everything? What if the guidance you've been searching for has been waiting all along, but you could only hear it when the noise stopped? And this is the invitation, to practice creating little pockets of silence in your day. Turn off the background noise. Step outside. Take 3 deep breaths. And notice what rises within you when the world goes quiet. Because the truth is, silence is not empty, it's full of answers. And in a moment, I'll share with you a simple Buddhist practice to help you turn silence into strength, even in the busiest moments of your life. 3. Calmness is a form of manifestation. Most people believe calmness means doing nothing. That being calm is passive, weak, or even unproductive. But the truth is, calmness is one of the most powerful forces we can embody. Think about it. When you're anxious, scattered, and restless, your mind jumps in 10 different directions. You make decisions out of fear. You react instead of responding. And often, you end up creating more problems than you solve. But when you are calm, something shifts. Your energy becomes focused. Your choices become clear. And life itself begins to align with you instead of against you. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." This teaching reveals something profound. Calmness is not the absence of action, it's the foundation of wise action. When the mind is steady, every step you take carries more weight. Every word you speak lands with more clarity. Calmness is not inaction. It's powerful intention. I remember a time when I was overwhelmed with decisions, career paths, financial worries, family responsibilities. I was trying to fix everything at once, constantly running in circles. But the more I rushed, the more lost I felt. It wasn't until I started practicing calm awareness, slowing down, breathing deeply, meditating, that I realized calmness wasn't slowing me down at all. It was guiding me toward the exact answers I needed. Calmness is like the soil for manifestation. When the ground is unsettled, seeds can't take root. But when the soil is still, the seeds grow naturally. In the same way, when your mind is restless, your intentions scatter. But when your mind is calm, your desires find space to grow. And here's the paradox. Calmness attracts more than struggle ever could. Have you noticed that when you're desperate, opportunities seem to run away? But when you're calm and centered, doors start opening almost effortlessly? That's not magic, it's energy. The universe responds to the frequency you carry, and calmness is one of the strongest signals you can send. This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you act from clarity, not chaos. It means your decisions come from wisdom, not fear. And when you live this way, your life becomes less about chasing and more about receiving. Imagine standing in front of a pond. If the water is rough, you can't see your reflection. But when the water is still, your image appears clearly. Calmness is that still water. It allows you to see yourself and the path ahead with crystal clarity. So, if you've ever wondered why your efforts don't always lead to results, maybe it's not about trying harder. Maybe it's about becoming calmer. Because calmness itself is a form of creation. It shapes your choices, guides your actions, and creates space for the miraculous to unfold. And in just a moment, I'll share with you a simple yet profound Buddhist practice that can help you access this inner calm anytime, anywhere. It's not about sitting in silence for hours. It's about learning how to bring calmness into the middle of everyday chaos. 4. The art of trusting time. There's something we all struggle with. Waiting. We live in a world where everything is about speed. Fast internet. Instant coffee. Overnight shipping. We want results now, not later. And when life doesn't move at the pace we expect, frustration builds. We start asking ourselves, why is this taking so long? Why hasn't it happened yet? Did I do something wrong? I know that feeling too well. There were times in my own life when I thought I was ready, when I felt I deserved something, a job, a relationship, an opportunity. But no matter how much I tried to force it, the doors wouldn't open. It felt unfair. It felt painful. But here's the truth I've slowly learned. The universe has its own rhythm. And that rhythm is not always the same as our personal schedule. The Buddha once said, patience is the highest form of asceticism. What he meant is that waiting, trusting, and allowing life to unfold without grasping is not weakness, it's strength. It's an inner training that shapes who we are becoming. Think about it. A seed doesn't sprout into a tree overnight. The rain falls, the sun rises, the seasons pass. It takes time for the roots to grow deep enough to support branches that will one day carry fruit. In the same way, the delays we hate so much are often the very seasons that prepare us for what's coming. Life is not denying us. Life is preparing us. But here's the inner conflict our mind doesn't like: uncertainty. We fear that if something isn't happening now, it never will. We compare ourselves with others, thinking, they're already there, why am I still stuck here? That comparison eats away at our peace. It blinds us to what is actually growing beneath the surface of our lives. Trusting time means letting go of that fear. It means believing that the pause, the detour, or the silence is not punishment, it's alignment. It's the universe setting the stage so that when the moment arrives, we are not just ready, we are transformed. One of the most profound shifts in my own journey came when I stopped asking, why isn't this happening? And started asking, what is this moment preparing me for? That single shift in perspective turned my waiting into learning, my delay into growth, my silence into strength. And here's the beautiful part. When the right moment finally comes, it often feels effortless. The doors that once resisted suddenly swing open. The opportunity feels natural, not forced. It's as if life had been orchestrating the whole thing, waiting for the perfect note to begin the song. So, if you're in a season of waiting right now, don't despair. Don't rush. Don't think you've been forgotten. Instead, breathe. Trust. Lean into the rhythm of life that is so much wiser than any plan we can make. Because sometimes, the greatest act of courage is not pushing harder, it's surrendering deeper. And in that surrender, we find peace. We find wisdom. We find the quiet assurance that everything is happening not a moment too soon and not a moment too late, but exactly when it's meant to. That, my friend, is the art of trusting time. 5. You attract what you believe you deserve. Have you ever noticed how two people can walk into the same room, face the same situation, and yet experience two completely different outcomes? One walks in with quiet confidence. Doors seem to open. Opportunities flow toward them. The other walks in doubting themselves, and somehow the same doors remain closed. Why is that? It's not luck. It's not favoritism. It's belief. Deep down, the universe mirrors back what we truly believe we deserve. If in your heart you believe you are worthy of peace, love, and success, you start to carry yourself differently. Your words shift. Your energy shifts. And people respond to that energy. But here's the conflict most of us live with. Inside, we carry a quiet voice that whispers, "I'm not enough. Not smart enough. Not attractive enough. Not capable enough." That self-doubt becomes a wall we build with our own hands. And then we wonder why happiness doesn't come closer. I've lived that struggle myself. There were years when I kept telling myself I didn't deserve better. I accepted less than I should have in relationships, in work, even in how I treated myself. And life reflected that belief back to me, over and over again. The Buddha once taught, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought." It's a simple truth with powerful implications. Our inner world creates our outer world. When we shift what we think we deserve, we shift what life delivers to us. Think about it like planting seeds. If you plant seeds of doubt, you grow weeds of limitation. But if you plant seeds of worthiness, of self-love, of confidence, then over time, those seeds grow into opportunities, relationships, and peace that align with your belief. And here's something important. Believing you deserve more is not arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about honoring the truth that you, like every being, carry within you the capacity for joy and growth. It's about remembering that you, too, are part of this vast universe, and there is no reason to think you are less deserving of light than anyone else. So how do we shift that inner belief? It starts with awareness. Pay attention to the words you speak about yourself. Do you often say, "I can't," "I'm not good enough," "I don't deserve this"? If so, notice that those words are planting seeds, seeds that shape your future. Then comes practice. Each morning, remind yourself, "I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of happiness. I am worthy of love." Say it out loud, even if it feels strange at first. Over time, your mind begins to believe it. And once your mind believes, your life starts to reflect it. I can tell you from experience, when I began to change my inner dialogue, opportunities that once felt out of reach began to appear naturally. The relationships I attracted were healthier. The choices I made were braver. And the peace I longed for began to grow, not because the world suddenly changed, but because I finally believed I deserved it. So let me ask you, what do you believe you deserve? If the answer is small, limited, or uncertain, maybe it's time to rewrite that story. Because the universe will meet you at the level of your belief. And when you finally embrace the truth that you are worthy of happiness, success, and peace, you'll see that the world has been waiting to give it to you all along. 6. The universe responds to energy, not desperation. Have you ever noticed that when you chase something too hard, whether it's love, success, or even peace, it seems to run further away? It's almost as if the more desperate we become, the more life closes its doors. And yet, when we relax, when we trust, when we let go, suddenly opportunities show up, people arrive, and things begin to flow. Why is that? It's because the universe doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to energy. Every thought you think, every feeling you carry, creates a vibration. When you're anxious, fearful, or focused on what you lack, your energy carries that scarcity. And life reflects it back. You attract more situations that confirm that feeling of not enough. I know this deeply because I've lived it. There was a time when I was so afraid of losing everything that I clung tightly to what little I had. Whether it was money, relationships, or even time, I carried the vibration of fear. And life mirrored it: unexpected bills, broken connections, constant stress. The more I grasped, the less I seemed to have. The Buddha once said, "We are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think." When your mind dwells in lack, your life grows from that soil. But when your heart rests in trust and abundance, the universe reflects that same fullness back to you. Think about it like tuning a radio. If you're broadcasting on the frequency of fear, you can't receive the music of peace. But when you shift the dial, when you begin to radiate gratitude, trust, and calm, you tune into a whole different reality. The question is, how do we make that shift? Because it's not easy. When bills are piling up, when loneliness feels heavy, when the future looks uncertain, your mind naturally falls into desperation. But here's the key. Instead of asking, "What's missing?" try asking, "What's already here that I can be grateful for?" That single question changes your energy immediately. Gratitude lifts you out of lack and into abundance. And it's not about pretending life is perfect. It's about noticing the small things that are already blessings: the breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the smile of a stranger, the chance to begin again today. When you start from gratitude, your energy shifts. When your energy shifts, your actions change. And when your actions change, the universe has space to bring new possibilities into your life. I remember one moment when I was at my lowest, financially and emotionally. Instead of spiraling in fear, I sat still and whispered, "Thank you." Not for what I lacked, but for the simple fact that I was alive to try again. That shift didn't solve everything overnight, but it opened a door, and from that door came opportunities I never expected. So hear me when I say this. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. If you radiate trust, peace, and enoughness, the universe meets you there. The secret isn't to push harder, to beg, or to chase. The secret is to shift from the energy of desperation to the energy of faith. Faith that life is unfolding as it should. Faith that what is meant for you will not pass you by. So let me leave you with this thought. The universe is always listening, not to your words, but to your energy. And when your energy says, "I am grateful, I am enough, I trust," life begins to echo back the abundance you were searching for all along. 7. Letting go creates space for miracles. Have you ever held on to something so tightly that your hands began to ache? Not just physically, but emotionally. Maybe it was a dream, a relationship, or a plan for the future. And the harder you tried to hold on, the heavier it felt. We've all been there. Because letting go feels terrifying. It feels like losing control. It feels like giving up. But here's the truth. Letting go is not the same as giving up. It's the act of creating space. Space for miracles. Space for possibilities you could never have planned yourself. I remember a time in my own life when I clung so hard to a vision of how things had to be. I thought if I just worked harder, if I just pushed more, I could force the outcome. But instead of freedom, I felt trapped. Instead of peace, I felt suffocated. And life? It pushed back. Doors closed. Opportunities slipped away. And the weight of disappointment grew heavier every day. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. Not because dreams are wrong, but because clinging to them blinds us to the flow of life. It's like holding onto a rope so tightly that your hands bleed, when all along freedom was waiting the moment you opened your palm. When we release that tight grip, something shifts inside us. The fear loosens. The tension dissolves. And suddenly, there's room for new paths, new connections, new blessings. Think about it like a garden. If the soil is packed too tightly, nothing can grow. But when you soften it, when you create space, seeds can sprout, flowers can bloom, and life finds a way. Letting go works the same way. It's not abandoning your dream. It's trusting that the universe may have a better version of that dream waiting for you. One that's bigger, brighter, and more aligned than what you could imagine on your own. But I know the struggle. Your mind whispers, "What if I lose everything?" Your heart aches with the fear of emptiness. The silence after letting go can feel unbearable. Yet that silence is exactly where the miracle begins. Because in the space you create, the universe steps in. It brings people you never expected. It opens doors you didn't even see. And often, it delivers gifts far beyond the ones you thought you needed. There's a story of a monk who held a broken bowl for years, believing it was all he had. He refused to release it, afraid of hunger. But when he finally set it down, he was given a golden bowl. More beautiful, more abundant, and capable of holding far more than the cracked one ever could. That is the essence of letting go. So let me ask you this. What are you still gripping so tightly that your soul can't breathe? What weight could you release today, not as an act of surrender, but as an act of faith? Because when you loosen your grip, you don't lose. You open. And in that opening, life has room to move. The universe has room to surprise you. Letting go is not the end. It's the beginning of miracles. And maybe, just maybe, the very thing you've been waiting for is already on its way, waiting for you to make space to receive it. 8. Gratitude is the doorway to fulfillment. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to focus on what's missing? The job you don't have, the relationship that didn't work out, the number in your bank account that never seems quite enough. Our minds are trained to chase what's next, to believe happiness is always waiting in the future. But here's the paradox. The more we chase, the more empty we feel. And the more we pause to give thanks, the more complete life suddenly becomes. The Buddha once taught that a mind steeped in gratitude is like a fertile field. It grows joy, compassion, and peace with ease. Because gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a state of being. It's like sending a signal to the universe that says, "I am enough, I have enough, I welcome more, but I'm already whole." I remember a season of my life when I was caught in the trap of comparison. Everywhere I looked, someone had more success, more recognition, more comfort. And I thought, if I just reach that level, then I'll finally feel fulfilled. But even as I achieved certain goals, the satisfaction was fleeting. It was like pouring water into a bucket with holes. It wasn't until I began a simple practice, writing down 3 things I was grateful for every morning, that something shifted. It didn't change my circumstances overnight, but it changed me. My heart felt lighter. The small moments I used to overlook a warm cup of tea, a smile from a stranger, the quiet of early morning suddenly felt like treasures. And here's the miracle. The more grateful I became, the more life seemed to give me reasons to be grateful. Opportunities came. Relationships deepened. Even challenges started to look less like punishments and more like lessons. Gratitude opens the heart. And when the heart is open, it can hold more love, more peace, more abundance. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that within this very moment, even with its imperfections, there are hidden blessings. Think of gratitude as a doorway. On one side is constant striving, restlessness, and lack. On the other side is a sense of wholeness, calm, and connection. The key to that door isn't outside, it's already in your pocket. It's simply the choice to say, "Thank you." But let's be honest. Practicing gratitude isn't always easy. When life feels heavy, when loss or disappointment knocks on your door, the last thing you want to do is give thanks. And yet, that's when gratitude is most powerful. Because even in the darkest nights, there's always a flicker of light. Even in the midst of loss, there's someone you can hold close with appreciation. So ask yourself, what's one thing, right now, in this very breath, that you can be thankful for? It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Because the practice of gratitude is like watering the roots of your soul. The more you nurture it, the stronger you grow. And the stronger you grow, the more fulfillment flows naturally into your life. Gratitude is not the result of fulfillment. Gratitude is the doorway to fulfillment. And every time you choose it, you step closer to the peace you've been searching for all along. 9. Letting go is true freedom. Think for a moment. How much of your stress comes from holding on too tightly? Holding on to outcomes, to relationships, to possessions, thinking that if you just grip hard enough, you won't lose them. But the truth is, the tighter we hold, the heavier life feels. I've been there myself. There was a time when I thought success meant controlling everything. My career, my image, even how others saw me. I obsessed over results. If things didn't go my way, frustration consumed me. And even when they did, I was already worried about what might fall apart next. It was exhausting. That's when I came across a teaching of the Buddha. Attachment is the root of suffering. At first, it felt uncomfortable. Because isn't attachment natural? Don't we all want to hold on to the things we love? But the more I reflected, the more I saw the wisdom. Attachment doesn't mean love. Attachment is fear, the fear of losing what we cling to. And fear is a cage. When we practice letting go, something beautiful happens. It's not about giving up our dreams or abandoning the people we care about. It's about loosening the grip, allowing life to flow instead of trying to control every current. And in that space, freedom appears. I remember a relationship I once tried so desperately to control. I wanted it to be a certain way, to fit the picture I had in my head. But the more I pushed, the more tension grew. Finally, with a heavy heart, I let it be what it was meant to be, not what I demanded it to be. And to my surprise, I felt lighter. There was sadness, yes, but also a deep peace. Because in letting go, I wasn't losing, I was gaining myself. That's the paradox. Letting go feels like loss at first, but in reality, it's liberation. The Buddha compared it to setting down a heavy burden. Imagine walking through life carrying a huge rock on your back. You've carried it so long, you think it's part of you. But the moment you drop it, you feel light, free, and able to breathe again. Freedom doesn't come from having more or controlling more. It comes from needing less and trusting more. When we release our grip on outcomes, life has room to surprise us. When we stop clinging to possessions, we discover joy in simplicity. When we no longer tie our happiness to another person, we can finally love them freely without fear. This is what true freedom looks like. Not freedom from responsibility, not freedom from caring, but freedom from the chains of attachment that keep us restless and afraid. So I want to ask you, what are you holding on to right now, so tightly that it's weighing down your heart? Is it a result you're desperate for? A past mistake you can't forgive? A relationship you fear losing? Take a breath and imagine setting it down. Just for a moment. Feel the space it creates inside you. That space, that lightness, that's the beginning of true freedom. Letting go is not weakness. It's courage. It's trusting life, trusting yourself, and trusting that what's meant for you will stay. And what's not meant for you will leave, making space for something better. Because in the end, letting go is not losing. Letting go is finding the only thing you've been searching for all along: peace. Summary of key points and reflections. So, what have we really discovered together today? We began with the truth that the universe doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to the energy we radiate. When we send out fear, we receive more fear. But when we send out trust, love, and openness, life reflects that back to us. We saw that the more we try to control, the more restless we become. Control is heavy, and the weight only grows the tighter we hold. But when we let go, when we soften our grip, we allow the natural flow of life to carry us. And that flow is always wiser than our attempts to force it. We talked about silence, about the power of stillness and trust in timing. Because not everything needs to be solved today. Some things are meant to unfold when the moment is right. Silence is not emptiness. It is the sacred space where answers are born. And we explored the truth that you attract what you believe you deserve. If deep inside you see yourself as worthy of peace, love, and joy, the universe will meet you with opportunities that mirror that belief. But if you doubt your value, you build walls that keep blessings away. That's why gratitude is so important. Gratitude turns scarcity into abundance, and abundance into a way of living. Finally, we discovered the art of letting go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means opening your hands so life can place something even better there. It means setting down the burden of fear and stepping into true freedom. And in that freedom, miracles appear. So here is the lesson I hope you carry with you. Live in peace. Trust the flow of life. Let go of clinging and step into the freedom that is already yours. Believe deeply that you are worthy of happiness, because the moment you believe it, the universe will move mountains to show you it's true. Now let me turn this to you. Have you ever noticed how the harder you tried to hold on, the heavier life felt? Maybe it was a relationship, a job, or even just an idea of how things should be. Did you notice that once you let go, space opened up, and in that space, something unexpected, maybe even miraculous, arrived? If someone comes to mind right now, someone you've seen struggle with this, consider sharing this video with them. You never know how one gentle reminder can change a day or even a life. And if today's message touched you, let yourself pause for a moment before moving on. Reflect on which part spoke most clearly to your heart. Was it the reminder about energy, the lesson of gratitude, or the courage of letting go? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this video brought you peace, don't forget to like it. If it inspired you, share it with someone who may need a little light today. And if you'd like to keep walking this path together, consider subscribing to Buddha Wisdom, where we share more teachings of stillness, clarity, and inner strength. Above all, thank you for being here. Thank you for staying with me until the very end. May you carry peace into your day, lightness into your heart, and the quiet certainty that you are worthy of joy. And remember, this isn't the end. It's just the pause before the next step on your journey. I'll be here to walk it with you,